Let's get rolling as people hop in here. Courtney will admit them in, but this is recorded, so you will have access to this later on, and we'll get it up on CLIPA U. We'll get it somewhere where you guys can go back and watch it. Probably post it in the Facebook group, I'd imagine too. But welcome. I know you guys have heard a lot about this estimating app, and some of you may have gotten in there and tested it out. And if you have and haven't watched the tutorials or you're lost, whatever, the goal for today is to make sure that you're not lost anymore. And we're here to help you, support you. If you haven't realized that yet, you will soon realize that we are here for you. So if you have any questions, all the time I jump on and, somebody doesn't understand something, I will get in, a Zoom, whatever we need to do to make sure you guys understand this estimating app. This estimating app was developed probably about 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago. It's been a while. But this is, the estimating app is really to help you if you're brand new getting this industry. It's help you to ensure you're not going to lose money. And it's all based off your numbers. Everybody's numbers different. Lisa, Brandon, Jared, Mary, your numbers are different as far as what you're paying your employees and what your expenses are and your truck expenses and stuff like that. So the initial setup of the app, you do have to do a little bit of lab work. We need to figure out our per minute break even. Anybody that trained with us, you understand, we talked about that. I don't know if you remember or not, but what we're trying to figure out is what is it per minute cost you for your employees to step foot on a property, and what is that costing you per minute? So it's going to be anywhere from, on the low end, 1.75, which is $1.75. And on the high end, if you're above 275, we need to take a look at it and figure out where you're going wrong. Or maybe your employees, you're paying a lot of money. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start from scratch, where the first thing you need to do, the first steps, we need to figure out our per minute break even. The app will not work without that per minute break even. We need to take that number and we need to plug that into the settings of the app. And I'm going to take you through this whole process as if it's a brand new setup. If you don't have access to the app, make sure you reach out to your representative. They will get you access and make sure you get in there. Okay, but I'm going to start from scratch. My app is blank. There's nothing in there. So we're going to put a few things in there. Like I said, there's initial setup. We got to put our per minute break even in the settings. We got to fill out our settings, company name, logo, if we want to use that, stuff like that. Once we get that set up, we do need to set up our products. There's some products that we need to put in there, because each section we go through, you're going to select which product you're using for that section, whether it's roof lines or bushes or trees or whatever it may be. If anything, if you guys already figured out, you know what, I've already got, let me just admit some people, I got some more people coming in here. If you've already figured out your roof lines, oh, you know what, I know I'm charging $10 per foot, or I'm doing this, I would highly recommend, I hear a lot of people on the forums talking about, oh, I just charge $10 per foot. That's great, but there's a variance. Are you charging $10 per foot for a single story and a double story? A 2-story is going to take a lot longer than a single story, so you should be charging more. It should be a variance. Oh, okay, on a double story or a 2-story, I'm charging $12 per foot, whatever the case is. Within the app, and there's a tutorial page. We've got photos, we've got examples, all sorts of stuff on CLIPA U. You can go check that out. We tell you there's difficulty levels. Difficulty level 1 for roof lines, 2, 3, and 4. And what we consider difficulty level 1 would be something like a single story. That's easy, pretty simple. You probably use A-frame ladder, no need to get on the roof type thing. Difficulty level 2 is going to be something more of, second story, a little bit harder to get the ladder to. And then 3, a little bit harder, you got to get on the roof to actually install it. And then 4 is going to be something that's really hard. Maybe a lift you're going to have to use or something like that. So you need to get out there when you determine your difficulty level 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to look at the house. I'm going to do my measurements for the first story. I'm going to measure it out. Oh, that's 100 feet. I'm going to plug that into the app. And again, we'll go through all this and I'll show you. I'll show you the pages. You're going to put this information in. And then I'm going to measure what is my difficulty level 2. That's 75 feet. I'm going to plug that in the app. And obviously, if it's difficulty level 2, it's going to charge the client more. So we want to make sure we get those true numbers. If anything, you don't use it for roof lines, you probably got your numbers figured out. Use it for measuring trees. Trees, trees are the #1 spot people lose money because they don't bid them properly. I tell a story in my CLIPA training about, a guy in Dallas, I won't say his name, where he tried to bid a tree, just by visually looking at it, actually through a photo, and he was off by 100 strands. So if you take 100 strands times $10, that's $1,000 that he was off. That's where you'll lose money if you don't go out and actually do the measurements and do the right thing and measure it out and put it in the app and figure it out. So make sure you're doing that. Again, if you want to break it out, use the app for measuring your trees just to figure out how many strands you're using. I've tested this year after year, time after time. And as long as I wrap it based on the numbers that I put in the system, it's within inches of how many strands I'm going to be using. It tells me flat out, it tells me, oh, 6 strands, 12 strands. So at that point, you could always just take, we charge $35 per strand times, 10 strands. We know what we're charging the client based on that install. Okay. So without further ado, I will jump into it. If you guys have questions, please put it into the chat box and we'll do our best. We'll field every single question. We'll sit here all day if we have to, but hopefully we don't have to. Okay, so I'm going to go and share my screen. Let's do this. Any initial questions right off the bat? Nope. Okay, good. Okay, welcome to the all new CLIPA U. So if you've trained with us, you actually have access to this CLIPA U. You should. And we have a portal in the back end. We've been doing a lot of updates on the website. Some of you may have noticed it's looking a lot different. So that's what we've been working hard on doing over the last several weeks, is just updating the look and feel of CLIPA U. So hopefully you guys like it. But anyway, if you don't have access to it, that's okay. You still get access to all the estimating tools and everything you need in here. You do need to purchase the app. If you did training with us, you actually get 6 months free. So make sure you talk to your representative. They'll sign you up for that. If you haven't trained with us, then there is a fee for it monthly. With the estimating app, you can actually turn it off and on if you want. Maybe you just want to use it for the months of September, October, November, and through the season, and then shut it off. The good news is as long as you log into using the same account that you logged in initially, you're not going to lose any of your data. All that data will be there next year. You can shut it off for the months of February, March, April, May through whatever, and turn it back on. You just need to reach out to us. We can turn it right back on. Hopefully you're going to be using it throughout the season and you're going to start doing commercial bids. We're doing commercial bids in February, March, April, May, June, throughout the whole year. So maybe you'll keep it on and, just keep doing commercial projects and stuff. Okay. So what you want to do initially, you want to go to CLIPA U. And you're going to see estimating, and you're going to see tutorials and estimating calculators. So I'll go through the tutorials. This is what I talked about earlier. I'll just click on that page. Can everybody see give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, good. Sweet. Uh-oh, that's never good, right? Norton's. Okay. Estimating tutorials. So within this section, you can see the estimating app training. So if you want to go back and watch this, we'll probably update this right here with the one that we're doing today, just because it's newer content and fresher, and I probably look better. I don't know, just kidding. But we're going to do that. And then you also got a setup and training you can go through right here as well. So scrolling down, you've got just the different sections within the estimating app, just descriptions. If you need to reference back to this, okay, what does this mean? Customer, add new customer, that type of stuff. The main menu, that's going to be, you'll see here in just a minute exactly what I'm talking about. The settings, menus, and then as you scroll down, this is just all the stuff within the app. So if you need to reference back to this, you can. And this is what I was talking about, difficulty levels. This is what we consider a difficulty level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And within the app, you're going to input how many feet of difficulty level 1, 2, 3, and 4 do I have? So you can charge accordingly. So you can see over here, the difficulty levels, and that's what I'm going to input. So this is what we consider difficulty level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Difficulty level 1, again, is going to be something easy, single story, lower. We don't have to worry about it. We can do an A-frame. Difficulty level 2 is going to be something a little bit more difficult. And the reason we have these peaks, because it's probably hard to get, with these bushes, it's going to be a little bit harder to get in there and install that. Maybe we're doing it from the roof. Difficulty level 3, this is something you can see this is set back. So again, this might be a little bit more difficult to maneuver my ladder and move it around. So we're just going to measure this, whatever that may be. So all the blues, let's just say that's 20 feet. I'm going to input that in the app. Difficulty level 3, and then 4, this is set way back. So we got to figure out how we're going to install on that part of it right there. So that maybe is 15 feet. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to plug that in difficulty level 4 as 15 feet. So I'm looking all on measurements, and that's, we input that in the app. Tree inside wrap, just some just showing you guys, different sections and what you're measuring, what we consider wrap height in feet, branch spacing in inches, vertical spacing is what we're talking about. Tree outside wrap, same type of thing. And then bushes, how we measure bushes, how we input that into the app. And then fence lines, as you measure fence lines. Windows has the same thing as roof lines. It's got difficulty level 1, 2, 3, and 4. So again, you have to determine what you consider difficulty level 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then input that in the app. And then other sections we have it within there. You guys can go back and reference this, and then some help videos on the settings and how to set up the settings. Okay, so this is all on CLIPA U. Yeah.
Darren had a quick question in regards to, he says, on the difficulty levels, do you have a suggestion for a good way to measure each section?
Without physically getting up there, I would use a measuring wheel. You want to try to walk off, each sections. If you're going to a peak, you basically walk, and then you're going to walk out this way, and you're going to walk that way. For me, I just use, I use a reference of basketball hoops is what I use. 10 feet, and I'm like, it's about 2 basketball hoops. Just make sure you're overshooting a little bit. That's just my reference point. Am I perfect on it? No, I'm pretty close. But without getting your tape measure up, out and measuring that stuff, you can use a measuring wheel to walk it off and do it that way. So you really got to get a little bit, better at estimating that stuff. Now there are programs you can get if you want to pay for the, go to the extent. There are some programs. It's called Measure Map. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. If you guys are using Holiday Home Concepts, for your renderings, that's another good app, because that will tell you how many feet of roof line you have. You take a photo of the front of the house, and then you measure what the door or something, or the garage or something like that. And on the app, before you go in there, or once you get in there, you put it in there, and you put a line across that door, whatever you measured, and you specify how many feet it is. And then with the Holiday Home Concepts, you can actually, it'll tell you what the roof line, how many feet it is. So if you want to go to the, use that app, you can use that as well for getting those measurements. If you feel like you just need to really pinpoint it spot on. There's all sorts of different apps out there. It's just what extent do you want to pay for, where do you want to go? For me, I just eyeball it, and I just make sure I'm overshooting it. Okay. Hopefully I answered your question, Jared. Okay, let's get into, all right, so I've got my app over here. Okay, so this is a blank app. You do need to, you just need to log in using your, email that we set you up on. Once you log in, there's not going to be anything in here. It's just going to be blank. So don't be afraid when you get in there and, oh my gosh, there's nothing in here. Of course there's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're just going to start from the beginning, what we need to set up. Actually, I'm going to go back to CLIPA U real quick, because we need to figure out our per minute break even. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so within here, we've got estimating. We've got estimating calculators. These are the calculators we are going to use to calculate our per minute break even. Okay, on the left side, we got one calculator. This is going to be labor only. So if I just want to quickly get in there, you can always go back and adjust it if you want. Now your past, if you do adjust it, your past, estimates will not update automatically. They only update if you go back in them and change the section. All your future ones. So if I decide my break even, I'm paying my employees more year to year, it will not affect my previous estimates at 1.75. Now maybe at a 2 1/4 because I'm paying my employees more. I hired a crew leader where I'm paying them more, whatever the case is. So right here, you have 2 different options. You can do labor only, and we can just go in here. We can start plugging in our crew leader. If you are the crew leader yourself, put a salary in here. Put what you would pay yourself or a crew leader. If I'm out operating these routes, I want to make sure that I'm plugging in something for this, and I may not be paying myself $25 an hour, but I still need to put it in there so I can get a true figure. Okay. So if I'm just going out there and I'm going to say, I'm going to pay myself $30 an hour. And then maybe I'm running a crew member 1 and 2. So it's just 3 of us running. I'm going to pay them, mine's about $20 an hour, probably actually higher than that, but I'm just going to use 20 for this example, and then 20 here. So it does all the work for you. You can see just based on those numbers right there, it's $1.75. So if I'm good with that, I want to roll with that, I would go plug that $1.75 into my settings. And I'll show you guys in just a minute where to get that information. If I want to get down the nitty gritty, this is how I would do it. This won't take you very long. So what you want to try to do is you want to figure out, what is your payroll and all this stuff. You do got to do some calculations, break out your calculator. You're gonna have to figure out your payroll and all that fun stuff. So auto truck expenses, what are my expenses? Let's just say it's $500. I'm gonna make it easy. Now, one thing you need to think about is how many months do you want to put in here? You're only putting the months that you're actually doing Christmas light installation. Okay, I'm not taking my whole year of my truck expenses and plugging that in here. So if my truck expenses, I'm just going to do an easy number, $500. I start in September. So I'm going to do September, October, November, December. And then what goes up must come down. I'm going to do January. So I'm actually going to do 5 months here. So I'm going to plug in $2,500 for my auto and truck expenses. Maybe you start in October, maybe you start in November. So if you start in November, just take November, December, January, and just use that for your calculation. So that'd be $1,500. That's what I want to do. You got to figure out your gas expenses. California, average 800. Yeah, we're a lot more than that. California is very expensive. We're at $5 a gallon. So I would do some math trying to figure out, okay, how much am I spending? How many times are we filling up per week? What does it cost me to fill up? I would figure all that out. What is it per month that we're paying for gas? So for me, it's probably going to be, I'm saying we're going to fill up the truck twice a week. That's going to be 100, 200, it's probably 200 per week. So that average right there, that's about $800 per month. We're close to that. So I would go $3,500 because I'm doing it for 5 months. And then payroll, I got to figure out what my payroll is. You just sit down, we're going 5 days a week, 6 days a week, times this many employees, times how many weeks we're actually working. I'd probably take out a few weeks because we don't typically work, mid-December to late December. So I'd probably take out those months, but I'm just going to put 25,000 for this right here. Communications. How much am I paying for communications? That could be website. That could be your SEO. That could be, well, I'm sorry, not SEO. That would be under marketing. Your telephones, your whatever you're paying for communications. You want to take that number and then you want to put that in there. So 5 months, I'm going to do 200. I'm just going to do 200 times 5. That's $1,000. Insurance. We should all have insurance, general liability. You should have general liability and workers' comp. So what is that per month? So $1,500 times 5 months. What are we at? 15, 3, 6, 7,500. That'd be $7,500 for me. Any office expenses I want to put in here, I'll just leave it at 200 times 5 months. So that's going to be $1,000. And then marketing. Am I doing any marketing? Am I doing any campaigns? Am I doing any SEO type stuff? So we'll just take 1,000. We're just going to put 5,000 for that for the season. And then any miscellaneous I want to plug in there. Okay. So as I scroll down, you can see it's got all my numbers here. The really one you need to pay attention to is the 294. So I'm at $2.94. This is essentially saying, back to what I said earlier, we step foot on that property. It's costing me $2.94 based on these numbers per minute for my employees to stand there and do nothing. So we want to make sure they're moving. We want to make sure they're starting to install and getting on the roof and decorating trees and stuff. So we take this number, whatever it comes out to be. Now we go into our app. Okay. So the first thing we need to do, we're going to plug over here. This is our hamburger menu. This is what this is called up in the left-hand corner here. Okay. You just click on that and you're going to do your settings first. Okay. We've got no items in here. You can only have one company in here. So if you have multiple companies, then you're doing something wrong. Make sure you only have one company in here. Right now we've got nothing. So what we got to do, I got to move this over here. I'm going to add a little plus sign down here. Okay, what is my company name? I'm just going to put CHS. That's how we operate under here in California, which is Celebration Holiday Studio. What is our address? We are at 8 Holland. Plug that in there. What is our phone number? I'll put mine. Okay. So I want to put my cell phone. I want to put my email in there. This is the email is what I logged into. I'm going to change this. This is my sales email. Matt at CLIPA. If I want to send the estimate to the sales rep, I can do that. So I'm going to put this here, salesperson name. If I want to plug that in there, this will show up in the estimate. If we decide we're going to use the estimate to send to the customer, this will actually show up in the estimate. Okay, so here's my per minute break even. I'm going to reference back. I think it was like 2 something, 294. And I'm going to plug that in right there, 294. I do want to put in how many crew members I'm going to be using. I'm going to use 3. Sorry, I calculated a 3 based on that. Terms and conditions. Do I have any terms and conditions on the back end of CLIPA U? If you've been in there, we do have some terms and conditions for you that you can copy and paste. Make sure you enter your name in there. You know, take out insert name here, put your company name in there, add anything else you want to add in there. This will show up on the estimate that is sent to the customer if you decide to use the estimating in this. I'm sorry, if you decide to use sending the estimate to the client through the app, you can do that as well. So you want to paste your terms and conditions in here and whatever that may be. Okay. The markup, this, I'm just gonna start with 100% markup. This is on labor only. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just start with 100%. Within each section, I can actually adjust this. Okay. This is just markup for labor only. If I want to be operated as a nonprofit, I'll just put 0 in there, leave it at. But we're going to do 100% markup at this point, just for now. Okay. Labor tax rate. We don't have labor tax rate in California. We don't charge for labor. Product tax rate. If you're using the system we've taught you on, which is a leasing model, you're not going to be charging tax on this stuff. So I'm going to put that at 0. If you decide you want to sell to the clients, if that's the way you're operating, then you can put whatever your tax rate is for your state in there. Logo, I would just click this and I can upload my company logo to the website, or I'm sorry, to the app. Once we're done there, we click save. Okay, so we are good. We've got our app, we're ready to go, kind of. What we need to do is we need to add our products now. Okay. So within the hamburger menu, we're going to click over here. We're going to do lights and garland. That's where we're going to add all of our products that we're selling. Once again, it's blank. So I'm going to click the plus sign. Okay. Pretty simple to fill this out. You don't need to get crazy with it because most of the products you're buying, we'll just take bulk spools, for instance, they're all going to be the same. The bulbs are going to be the same price, whether I'm buying blue, red, green, teal, whatever it may be, it's going to be the same price. So what I have to do is I have to figure out, what did the product cost me to get landed to my doorstep? Okay. What does it cost me? So I need to figure out, basically, if I bought a 1,000-foot spool, I want to break that down. What did that spool cost me, including shipping? What did that cost me to get to my doorstep? So let's just say 1,000 feet. Let's just make it easy. Let's just say it cost me 30 cents per foot. So 1,000 feet, and I paid $300 for it. That cost me 30 cents per foot. I don't know if my math is correct. Okay, so now I get to figure out if I'm going to use a clip in there, if I'm going to use because the clips are about 22 cents, let's just say. So we're at 0.3 plus 0.22. So we're at 52 cents. And then what did my bulb cost me? So I'm just going to say I just paid $1 for a bulb. $1.52 is what we're at right now. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to type is I'm going to type bulk spool. 15-inch spacing, that's all we use. I don't even have to put 15-inch spacing if that's all we use. And I'll just do abbreviations. And then I could put with clip. Because if I'm going to use it without clip, or if I have magnetic lights I'm using, obviously my price is going to vary. So I want to make sure I input this accordingly. So with clip, we just calculated, we're at $1.52. Is this a strand? Yes, this is, no, I'm sorry, this is not a strand. Strand would be something like a mini light strand. So I'm gonna click no on that. And then what is my strand length in feet? We're doing this based on 1 foot. That's what we're charging the client. Based on 1 foot, we're charging them $1.52. What I'm gonna do with all of my pricing is I'm going to add 15% to it. Okay, so I'm gonna do plus 15%. So we're at $1.78. And the reason I do that is because we are not nitpicking, and we're not going to sit there and calculate how many males and females we're using, how much of wire we're using. If you want to do that, you can. how many timers. We're not, calculating that stuff. But if you want to, go to the extra extent of doing that, you can. That's up to you. But if I just add 15%, then I'm covering myself on all that stuff. So I'm charging, $1.78 per foot for this product right here, which is a bulk spool, 15-inch spacing with my bulb and a clip. I've got CLIPA in there. I'll take out CLIPA. Just have it. Clip. And you can even specify with a tough clip, with a shingle tab, whatever you want to specify in this description. And I would definitely do that if the variance, maybe you're using tough clips on this project and they cost you 20 cents, and then you're using shingle tabs and they were cheaper. So you do want to, specify what you're using on this and calculate it accordingly. Okay, I'm going to click save. And we've got our first product in there. So we're good to roll if we want to do a roof line. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mini light strand. Okay, so I'm just going to do mini lights. I'm not going to specify colors because I pay the same price for them across the board. So mini lights, I can just leave it at that pretty much because there's not going to be much variance. Is this a strand? Yes, it is. What is my strand length? Okay, the app does actually take in consideration. So if I'm estimating trees and it comes out to be that my strand length is 24 feet, that's all we use is 24 feet. Let's say my tree comes out to be 30 feet. I can't cut many light strands. So what it's going to do, the app is going to recognize that, and it's actually charge the client for 2 strands is what it's going to do. So it rounds up and will charge the client for 2 strands. So you don't have to worry about that. We just got to figure out, if we're only using 1.5 strands, we got to figure out what to do with the excess strands. There's different methods we can use to hide that stuff. Okay, so what is my price? I'm just going to use an easy number. I'm going to say 10. I'm going to add 15% to it. So I'm going to be at $11.50 per strand. And again, this is based on the leasing model. If I'm selling it to the client, then I need to do something else. I need to put whatever I want to sell to the client for. Maybe I buy them for $11.50 landed. I want to sell them for 18, then I would plug in 18 here is what I would do. Okay, click save. And there we go. We got 2 different types. Okay. How are we doing on questions?
I think we're good. There was a couple, but I think I got them answered in the chat. If anyone has any urgent questions, did you want to unmute and ask, or?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just raise your hand.
Does anyone have any questions?
Courtney, you have any questions?
Oh, I have so many, Matt. We could sit here all day.
I know you do. Okay. All right, moving on. So one more thing we need to do once we get all our products in here, maybe I want to add my bulk spool with tough clip. That's going to be that's actually, I would specify this as tough clip, but maybe I want to specify it as a shingle tab, and my $1.78 would be maybe $1.65 based on that. Okay, so make sure you input these correctly and make sure you're specifying the strand length, which bulk spool we're just charging per foot is what we're charging. And then for mini lights, we're charging per strand. So that's going to be whatever strand length you're using, whatever you're purchasing. Okay. Okay. So next thing we want to add is we want to put some wreaths in there. Okay. I've got no wreaths in there. So we're going to type our first wreath. Maybe it's a 60-inch lit. Maybe we have lit, unlit. Obviously, the difference is going to be in price. What did that cost me to get it shipped to me? I'm just going to throw a number out there. I'm going to say $50, and we're just going to do 15% plus 15%. So we're at 58. I'm going to put $58. Click save, and we good. We have a wreath there. $58. Okay. Once we have all that stuff in there, we are ready to start estimating. So that's exciting. So the first thing we need to do, we're going to add a customer. We have no clients in here. So we're going to go down here. I should probably change that to client because I don't like the word customer. We're going to click on that. We're going to add the client's name. So in this one, we will do Courtney Robinson. There she is. I can input the information. There are some fields in here that are required. Customer name. I don't need to fill out all this information. If I want the estimate to go to Courtney, I would have to put the client's email right here, and just when I want to send it, obviously there's need to have an email address to send it to. So everything else we can just kind of skip over if we want. We're just going to click save. I've got her name in there. And this is the status. She is pending. I can click on there if I want to change. This is where we can send the estimate to the client. So if I click on Courtney here, I can actually send it to the customer. I can send it to the office. If I want to send it back to my admin, maybe I have a CRM that I use for invoicing or sending out my estimates. We can do that. The estimate that goes out through this system is very, it's just really simple. I want to say simple. So what I would recommend if you want something a little bit more robust, a little bit nicer that comes through your CRM or whatever you're using, I would send it to the office. Maybe that goes to the admin. And then from there, they can take it, they can put it in a nice CRM and send it out, to the client so you can track the information. This does not connect with any CRMs. Unfortunately, something we've looked into maybe down the road, which, one of the wish list items that we have. Okay. Send to the office itemized. Okay. What that means is, how do I want to send it to the client? Do I want to send it to the client as Christmas light installation, one charge? Or do I want to send it broken down? Do I want them to see roof lines? We're charging this much. This will not show if you're selling it to them. It's just going to show you roof lines, total cost, including the lights. It's not broken down for, just show you how much you're charging for lights and all that stuff. Okay, so I can send it to the office itemized, or I can send it to the client itemized. So there's 4 different options here is how we want to send it out. It won't go anywhere right now because I didn't put an email address in for Courtney. If I want to edit Courtney, I can click here and I can go back in. I can put her email address here over the CLIPA. Okay, now I just save. We are pending right now. So you can see I have the pending, sold and lost. And then, depending on where I'm at status wise, I can look in here. It's going to show you all my clients pending, sold, lost, depending on what their status is. Courtney is pending right now. Okay, so once we get Courtney in there, her information, you can actually add the client through estimating as well. So if you click in here, there is an option right here. It says customer, and we can add new if we want to go through that process, or we can do it the other way that we just did it. So if you forget to add them, they won't show up here. I can just click here and do the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to select Courtney. She's the only client that we have in here. Okay, now we're going to first go to our sections. These are the different sections. Yeah,
Matt?
Yeah.
We have a couple questions. Let's just pause for a second before we go into this.
Okay,
first we'll do, Linda was just asking about like itemizing the cost. So she said, breaking out the cost seems like an opportunity for the client to dispute the cost. So would it be suggested to instead share a complete, like a single line item cost to the client?
If that's how they want it, yeah. It really depends on how you want to approach all the clients. If they want to see itemized, yeah, you can do it that way. And that might be a good way to do it sometimes when, like, what can we, let's take away the bushes. Let's take away the trees. That gives us an opportunity to get within our budget, we're looking at. So they can pick and choose, just like a menu item, like, what do you want to do? What's most important to you? Oh, we really want the roof lines. We really want the trees. You know what, we can, if we take out the bushes, those are $400. That's going to get us right at our budget type thing. So you can do it that way.
It kind of depends whether you're doing commercial or residential, right? So in the case of like residential, what a lot of people do is just do like packages, and that would be a single line item cost that you would present to the customer. But the benefit of putting all of this into the app is you're figuring out all the line item calculations for you. So you have all those numbers, and then you can determine, what to offer. If you send something to the customer and it's too high, okay, if we take out these bushes, it removes $800 or whatever the case is. And then that way, you know exactly what your costs are for everything, and you can adjust as needed on the fly. But there's definitely something to be said for sending a single line item cost as a package deal to the customer. Now with commercial, it's going to be different because the pricing structures and everything are going to be different for commercial clients. So it's definitely a case by case basis, but a lot of people aren't sending this estimate direct to the customer from the app. It's at the very least just a way to come up with all your numbers.
Yeah. Well said.
And then Tony had did that answer it, Linda?
Yep, perfectly. Thank you.
Hello,
Okay,
Linda.
thanks.
Hello, Matt.
And then Hi, Linda.
Hello.
Mr. Tony Dines had his hand up too. Did you still have a question, Tony?
No, it was the same question. What was the best?
Same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of people.
for commercial clients, you know, you're using, like Courtney said, you're going to use this for your calculations. If you have trees, you have roof lines and stuff like that. But you're going to want to take this and put this into something a little bit nicer. You're probably going to use something like Canva. That's what we use for all of our commercial presentations. Chelsea and I just did one yesterday, $100,000 project that we're working on. We'll find out Monday. Wish us luck. But that was we put it in Canva. The whole presentation was through Canva. But you can take those numbers using the app and then put those into your figures and put it into a nice presentation. You want to take the time to do that with a commercial project.
So this is in theory, this is a way that you could do an estimate on the fly and send it direct to the customer, but that may or may not be the best practice. But either way, it's a good tool.
Yeah, not for commercial. I would definitely, you know, take the
No,
numbers.
for commercial,
and put it in
definitely not.
Something a little bit more professional. Residential, for sure. I mean, I'm out on the project. I'm definitely going to take this and put my numbers together. And then how I decide that I want to, you know, present it to the client, you know, okay, we've got option A, B, and C. This is what we're, you know, rolling with. You know, option A, I'm going to present the most expensive one first. You know, they might, whoa, wow, that's crazy. Well, here's what we could do. We could do option B. And then you're looking at the app, you know, you've got the numbers right there. You know that if I take out the bushes, that's going to drop us down a little bit closer to their budget, maybe above it. Okay, here's what we can do. We can do the same stuff, but I can take away the bushes. What's most important to you, Mr. or Mrs. Client? That's what we want to achieve. What is the most important things? And hopefully you guys can, you know, just take away something like that. I'm not showing them the app and I'm not scrolling through it like, oh yeah, look in here. Because then what they're going to see is you're going to see their markup. They're going to see all that stuff. And they're like, what? You're marking that up? How much? You know, type thing. So you're not using this to show them through by any means. So make sure you don't do that. Okay. Questions? Anything else, Courtney?
Jason wants to see an example of one of our commercial Canva presentations. We can show that, but let's get to the end of the estimating app training. And then if anyone wants to stay,
Yeah, for sure.
we can pull that up.
For sure. Remind me, because I'll probably shut everything down and be like, okay, thanks guys. Well, goodbye. So make sure.
What I'm here for.
Remind me at the end, yeah, because I will. Okay, so these are the different sections. You have an opportunity to bid, depending on what project, what you're doing, you know, the house, whatever it may be. Archways and arbors, balconies, fence lines, bushes, columns, extra equipment. Maybe we have to use a lift. You can put that section in there as well, charge the client for that. Light stakes, palm trees, and ridges, ridge lines, roof lines, windows, wreaths, tree outside wrap, a tree inside wrap. I went kind of backwards on that, and yard art and displays. So an inside wrap, if you haven't taken our training, what that is considered is that's a branch wrap. You're wrapping the branches. The outside wrap is considered the canopy. You can reference back to CLIPA U. You can see those examples that we have that show you how to measure an outside wrap and how to measure an inside wrap. Okay, so take a look at those. All right, so for this one, we're going to start off with the most common one. We're going to start off with roof lines. Okay. Once I select roof lines, we've got our difficulty levels. Remember, we reference back to what does Matt consider a difficulty level 1, 2, and 3. I can go back to CLIPA U and I can go to my tutorials. And I can scroll down to my section of what does Matt consider difficulty level 1, 2, and 3. This is this section right here. Okay, this is what we consider. Something simple is going to be 1. So I'm going to measure this roof line. I'm going to measure these roof lines. So we got probably about 10 feet right here. Then we have, I'm going to say 20 feet, 20 feet. Well, let me start with this. We got 10, you know, this is probably, you know, 8 feet. And then depending on where this goes behind the bush, you know, another 10 feet. So 10, 20, 28 feet. I'm going to put it at 30 feet, difficulty level 1. Then we measure our other stuff, difficulty level 2. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40. That's it for that one. Okay, I'm going to put 40 for difficulty level 2. And then I will go back here. Difficulty level 3, we're looking at the blue. So that's going to be 10, 20, and nothing else. And then it looks like we got another about 10 feet of red. So I'm going to put 20 feet here. And this isn't much roof line right here. And then I'm going to put 10 feet here. Okay. That's how you would break it out depending on, you know, what size roof line. That's not many feet. That's 70, 80, 90. That's 100 feet of roof line. That's not a lot of roof line. So staples needed. Am I going to use staples in this project? I definitely want to select yes if I'm going to, because anybody that's done an install, if you haven't yet, you're going to realize how much longer stapling takes. You know, you got to put 2 staples in every single socket most of the time just to keep the bulb straight. And then all those staples, you've got to get the ladder out, and during takedown, you've got to pull every single staple out. So it definitely takes longer. So if I'm going to use staples, I'm going to select yes. That's going to add a percentage to this estimate. Any special conditions I need to worry about? Is it far away? You know, maybe I want to add a percentage to it. Yes, I'm going to click yes. This is, you know, a pain in the ass customer, whatever it may be. I can add 10% to my labor charge is what it's going to add. So you have to determine if you have any special conditions, or I can just leave it no all the time, and then I can mark it up down below is what I can do. Here's my 100% markup. I'm going to go back up here. I'll get to that in a second, actually. Description. This will show up in the estimate as well if I want to type a description, you know, so my client and I are on the same page. Decorating the roof lines, you know, 360 degrees or whatever it may be. Obviously, this one's not 360. This is just the front facade of it. So I want to type any description I can here, so me and the client are on the same page. And then I can actually take a photo. If I want to snap a photo, I just click this photo. I got all sorts of photos, so I'm just going to upload something real quick here. Let's see what I got here. See if I have any roof lines. Not really. We'll just do this one. Okay. So I can actually snap a photo of it. If it's on my iPhone or my Android, it'll actually pull up the camera. You can take a photo, and then I can mark it up. And this is really good for like trees, decorating trees and the height, and or even, you know, even roof lines. You know, what are we decorating in this project? This is a project we do right here. So what I would do is I'd snap a photo prior to it being decorated. I would click one of these maybe and highlight it. So I would highlight it like this. Mr. Client, Mrs. Client, this is what we're doing. We're decorating this, and we're coming down there. You know, you don't want to come back later on. They're like, well, you're supposed to decorate here. You're supposed to do garden swags here. You want to make sure you and your client are on the same page as far as we're decorating. If there's a tree, I would mark it up. I would mark the height that we're decorating. You know, maybe this is the height that we're going right here. I would just put a line through there. All right. And then I can actually take another photo too. You can do multiple photos. If I want to snap another one, I would just click here, and that allows me to snap another photo. Okay, so this is my markup. Again, this is what we put as our just as our basic break markup within the settings. I can adjust it here if I want to. Maybe on this client, I'm going to mark it up a little bit more. Maybe I want to do 125% markup, and this is labor only. I can change that right there. If I do another section, it's going to be at 100% because that's what my default is in my settings. And maybe I want my default to be 125 because I don't like typing. So I'm going to change my settings to 125. And then every time I come in here to a new section, it'll say 125. Okay. Okay. So this is our break even. This is what it cost me to do this project based on my per minute break even, $276 for that roof line. Okay. If I want to be nonprofit, I would just change this to 0. And we would just charge them $276.85, but we're not nonprofit. So we're going to do 125% markup for this. My labor charge is $622.91. That's just for labor. And then we're going to go down, we're going to select what are we using for this project. You know, we are fortunate, we're going to use clips. We're going to use what we put in here. Again, if I need to go back and add more products, I can. But on this project, we are using the Tough Clip. I'm able to use that. I would have specified with Tough Clip right here. I would have put that in there. We're using 15-inch spacing because that's all I use. And then if I want to, I mean, I can put warm white. I probably would have just put, right, let's see, I probably would have put that in my description. Decorating front roof line with warm white C9 bulbs. I'm not going to specify my spacing. Don't ever do that. Don't ever talk spacing. Don't talk vertical spacing on trees. Don't talk bulb spacing. The client won't even know. We're just decorating your roof line. We're going to make it look beautiful. We're going to do this front here. We're going to decorate your trees, make them look elegant. They're going to be symmetrical and all this stuff. Those are the words you're using. That's how you describe your installs. Not, oh yeah, we're going vertical, 4-inch spacing on the trees. And Again, hey, if you've been through my training, you know you'll have some nut job that we talk about. We'll go out there and start measuring and be like, you need to come back because your vertical spacing is 5 inches and you said it was gonna be 4 inches. Just don't put yourself in that position. Don't even talk about it. You're talking about decorating the tree. We're gonna make it look beautiful. We're gonna take the trunk. We're gonna go this high on it, take a photo, mark on it, so you and your client are on the same page. Okay, so we've got our bulk spool in there, what we're charging. We're doing 100 feet. If you guys remember correctly, my charge for this product right here was $1.78. So you can see my labor charge is $178. Total cost for that roof line, $800 to the clients. Does give me how many minutes it's going to take per crew. This is based on the settings that I put in there. I put that I'm using 3 individuals on this install or on my projects. This is just a guesstimate. Different crews work at different speeds. Don't go look at this. So this is basically saying it's going to take me an hour and 34 minutes to do this project. Okay. So this is just something you have to take kind of with a grain of salt. It's different speeds for different crews. Some move faster, some move slower. So it may take you, a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. So don't look, Matt, you said 94 minutes. It actually took me 96. So I don't know what's happening. So just keep that in mind. That's just kind of a rough estimate of what the time frame is going to be. Okay, so once I'm done with that, I'm going to click save. All right, we got Courtney Robinson. She's my client. So I'm still in the customer section right here. And then what I'm going to do is she's, got status. She's still pending. So here's our total cost so far. We only have one section in there. I can click on estimates. This will give me a list of all my different estimates that I have going. Maybe I want to see a summary of all of them. I got Courtney Robinson, and then as we add sections, it's going to say Courtney Robinson total. It's going to have, bushes. It's going to have trees. It's going to have all sorts of stuff down here as we, start building this estimate. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Courtney. Oh, we're not there. We're going to go to estimates. Okay, I've got Courtney Robinson, and we're going to add a section to Courtney's. Courtney said she wanted to do the trees. She wants to do those inside tree wraps. She didn't actually say that. She just said she wants to decorate trees, but I know it's an inside tree wrap. So, okay, so we're going to select that section. So how we measure trees is you do have to get out there. This is where you want to use your tape measure. Make sure you're measuring these properly. You do not want to, lose money on trees. And this is the biggest, area that people lose money is just guesstimating how many strands they're going to be using, and people are off. So make sure you do your measurements, get your measurements as best as possible, and then actually decorate the tree to the same measurements. Okay. So we're going to first measure the trunk height. We're going to measure out what it is. We're going to tape measure out. If it's really large, then we're going to kind of eyeball it, see what we can do. There are apps within the iPhone. If you go to measure within the iPhone, can't speak for Android, but if you go into the iPhone, there is an app called Measure, and you can actually put a point on something and then just draw a line and put another point, and that will actually give you how many feet from one area to another. Okay, you could try to use it on roof lines. Sometimes it doesn't recognize the first point, but just test it out, see what you can find out. Okay, so trunk height, we're going, let's just say we measured it and it's about 6 feet. Spacing in inches, this is vertical spacing of how far apart are we decorating the strands. As we wrap it around, how far apart are those strands going to be as they go up the tree? Typically, we use a hand length, which is going to be about 5 inches. That's, this is not something we discuss with our customer, so we're not worried about, we're going to do our best to do 5 inches. Average circumference, if the tree is the same all the way up, we're just going to measure, the middle of the tree. We're going to find out what our circumference is. Maybe it's 48 inches. If there's a fluctuation, what I would do, if you have a trunk that's, larger in some spots, smaller, I would take the larger is what I would do. Number of trunks, maybe it splits off, maybe we have 2 of them, but in this case, we only have 1. So it's a straight trunk. So we're just going to use 1 there. Now we're on the branch wrap data. So we do have to measure the branches. We, discuss with the client, what does your budget look like type thing. Maybe this has 12 branches that go out. A lot of them are in the middle of the tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the most visible branches, and those are the ones we're going to wrap. So we're going to talk to the client, be like, okay, we decorate this one, this one, this one. Your budget really doesn't call for us doing all the ones in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure. This starts at the branches. This doesn't start at the, the bottom of the tree. We want to measure from where it starts the branch all the way up to how high are we decorating. Okay, so in this instance, we're going to go up 8 feet on them. Again, what is my vertical spacing on the branches? Maybe I'm going a little bit closer, because on branches, we typically go a little bit closer. So I'm going to put 4 inches there. And then what is my largest circumference? If we have a variance in all the different branches, we're going to measure the largest circumference. And that's where we're going to go based on. I measure my branches. The largest circumference was 18 inches. And then how many branches are we decorating? Well, we taught the client, we said we're going to do this one, this one, this one, this one. We're going to do 6. Any special conditions? Yes or no. I can add a percentage, or I can add the percentage down here if I want to raise it up. Okay, description. Type the description. What are we decorating? We're decorating the 2 trees in front of the house. If they're both the same, I would probably double my numbers on this. Actually, you know what? I wouldn't do that. Scratch that. I would save this one, and then I'd go back in and do the same thing and put the numbers. So I have 2 broken down. Maybe they don't want to do one and they decide, we do want to do this one, but we don't want to do this one type thing. If the house, if they're both on both sides of the house, I definitely recommend, making the house symmetrical and doing this one, but maybe they're not. Maybe there's one in the front, one they're in the back, and they're similar in size and everything. Okay. So once we do that, type the description, decorating the tree in the front yard, branch, inside branch wrap, whatever you want to type in there. Snap a photo of it. Okay. Let me see if I have any tree photos in here. Actually, what I'll do, let me do something real quick here. Okay. Save this real quick. Okay. So I'll just pretend all this stuff's not in there. We snapped a photo of our tree, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and highlight so the client and I are on the same page. Yeah, we're going to decorate, up to this point right here, and then we're going to wrap these branches, just like the lines are here. So I'm going to mark it up based on what we're decorating, which branches we're doing. I've had this in the field too. I've had, when we're out there. And, the client's like, oh, you're supposed to go higher, and I pull up our little picture. I'm like, yeah, really, we're not, not making it look stupid by any means, but, you look stupid because we're not supposed to go that high. So it is a good reference point for you to know how high you're going and the client's on the same page. So make sure you take those photos and just mark them up so everybody is on the same row in the same direction. Okay, so here's my markup. My break even on this tree is $229. My labor charge is $459. I still need to add in my type of lights. We're going to use mini lights on this one. So this app is telling me it's going to be 328 feet. So 328 divided by 24-foot strands. So it's telling me it's going to take me 13 strands to wrap this tree, 13.6. It's actually charging the client for 14 strands is what it's doing. Okay, so it does round it up. So we're charging the client for 14 strands. My light charge is going to be $161. So that should be 161 divided by 14. That's $11.50. That's what I put in my settings when I put my mini lights in there as well. So you can see it does round up and charge the client for her an extra strand. Total cost $620, 74 minutes it's going to take me, and we don't need to worry about the year. Click save. So now we've got our breakdown here. So if I want to see summary, 1421, 35, Courtney's budget was $2,000. So we're getting there, but she also has other stuff she wants. So we can easily, once we get to the point we've got this estimate all figured out and all that stuff, you can easily just delete sections if you want. And then what you do is you just go up to this little check mark up in the corner here, click that. And then I can select which section I want to delete. I want to take that off. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave it there. And I would just hit the little trash can. Okay. We're not going to do that. So we're going to stay here. Okay. Are we done in questions? I must be good.
I think we're good right now. I don't see anything else in the chat. Did anyone have any questions? If so, feel free to raise your hand.
Okay. I'll just keep on. Let me know. Okay, so we're back in here. We got Courtney Robinson, and we're going to add another section. I'm not going to go through every single section because they are pretty similar as far as, the data that you're inputting in there. I'll do a few here, columns and pillars. It's going to be just pretty much the same as a tree, just like we just did. What is your linear feet? How high is the column? What is my vertical spacing I'm decorating? What is my circumference? Average circumference, probably going to be the same across the board because columns don't really fluctuate too much. Maybe it does, maybe it bulges out in a certain spot. But that's the same information. Other than that, all the information down below is going to be the same. Okay, so I'll do something, we'll do some bushes. Palm trees is going to be the same as, same numbers that you're going to put in there. So we'll select bushes. Okay, so how we measure bushes. Go back to my little reference on CLIPA U here. Here's the bushes. So we're going to measure what's the decorating surface. Okay, so if we're decorating the top as well, we want to measure the depth of it and plus the distance across. Okay, so for this right here, we're going to measure this. Let's just say it's 20 feet. And then what is our height right there that we're decorating? So with that, I'm going to do 20 times 4. So we're going to put 80 feet in there. Okay. Once I enter that, you're going to see bush area 2 pops up. Okay. If I want to, I can go through, let's say we're doing 4 bushes and they're all the same. I can go 80, and then I'll add another one. I can keep going like that. What I would probably do is I would just leave this one here and I would just take it. We're doing 4 bushes and I would just put 320 feet is what we're doing. Okay. The way we decorate bushes is we use random S patterns. If you went through our training, that's how we do bushes is we just weave in and out of the bush and back and forth. That's how we do our installs. Okay, so we've got 4 bushes we're doing. 320 feet was what our measurements were. Type of description, decorating 4 bushes, 2 on the right side of the house, 2 on the left side of the house, front side of bush only, whatever description you want to add in there to keep you and your client on the same page. Special conditions, same thing. If I want to add a percentage, I can. Take a photo of those bushes. I'll just download this. Save it. Snap a photo. Yes, I like to take a photo. Let's see. Photo snapped. Okay. And then I'm going to just basically, if I want to mark it up, I can. We're just going to do decorate here and do, whatever I want to draw. Just whatever. So this is how we would do ours. I mean, it would be a little bit, more S patterns, but our S patterns are kind of like this. I can undo it too if I screwed up. I don't like that. So this is how we would do our mini lights, bushes. It's actually pretty fun. You guys should try it out.
I'm really glad that we're watching you do this, Matt. You should probably delete it and try again, see if you can do better.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mesmerizing, Matt. Mesmerizing.
Okay, while you draw that beautiful artwork, let's see. Someone had, okay. You got your question answered. It was in regards to the measurements for the top section of the bush.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Yeah. So
basically, you're just
if we're decorating this right
like
here, we would do the same thing. We would measure what our distance. It's going to be the same as this distance right here. Maybe that's 10 feet. So the top of my bush is going to be 10 feet. If I'm not decorating the top, I'm not going to calculate it. We're not worried about that. Maybe the client doesn't want it. It's not in their budget. But if I am, I'm just going to, calculate what my distance from here to here is. And then what is my depth from here to the front of the bush to the back of the bush. So we're just basically getting our surface area that we're decorating is what we're doing.
So basically you're looking at it like it's a geometric shape. So Go back to your geometry and you want to calculate the surface area of each surface that you're going to be decorating. So when it's a hedge, it's easy that way. You can just do the front, the top, the sides, the back if you're doing the 360. And then let's see, Linda was asking, for consistency and estimating, it makes sense to separate out the bushes in case the customer doesn't want to pay for all of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to separate them out so you have something that's itemized. And going back to that, the earlier question, that allows you to remove some or add some to get to whatever the total is that they are able to spend.
Yeah, so if I wanted to, maybe they don't want to do all, I would probably do it this way, 80. I can always come back in here and Linda and adjust that, maybe it was, what, 816. 320 is what I had. I can always come back and adjust it. They only want to do 2 of them, so I would just do 160 if that's how I want to adjust it. Or I could do it this way. I can do 80, bush area to 80, and then click out of here, 80. If that's how we want to do it. Client's like, no, I don't want to do all 4 of those, so let's just do 2 of them. Okay, that's fine. We'll just basically take this down to 0. So there's different ways you can do it. It all comes out to be the same, however you decide you want to do it.
Okay, any more questions before we go back to Matt's paint expert skills?
No?
Nope. Okay.
There you go. We decorate that. How's that, Courtney? Okay. Moving on. As you can
Love
see,
that.
the
Full
section
seg.
down. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Section down below is the same. You got your markup. And then I've got my break even, $328 for just labor for doing those bushes. And then we're going to select the type of lights. We're going to use most likely mini lights is what we're going to use on those bushes. 1,040 feet. Bushes take up a lot of lights when you're doing the random S pattern. So that's going to be basically it's saying 43 feet. I'm sorry, 44 strands is what I'm using on this bush. And this is a very large bush, 320 feet. It's actually 4 bushes. So it's 320 feet we measured. Okay. So moving on. So just those bushes, maybe they're like, oh man, that's a lot. I don't want to do that. Okay, well, how about we take those 2 out in the backyard and we just do, the 2 of them. So that's going to be 160. We're just going to do the 2. Yeah, that works out. Yeah, that's better. I like that. Okay, perfect. We're going to save that. Courtney and I discussed, her budget's 2,000. She really wanted something else. We're below budget. This is great. She doesn't know that yet. But then she also has other stuff that she wanted to decorate. So let's find out what else Courtney wanted to decorate. Courtney wanted to do some windows. She really wants the windows on her house done. Okay, that's great. We can do that. So this is where it comes out, difficulty level 1, 2, 3, and 4 as well. And you get back to CLIPA U, you see those difficulty levels on the windows right here. So this is what we consider. And this is all based on second story, first story, second story. Having to get a ladder out. These are going to be a little bit more difficult. Right here, we just have, it looks like it's hard to tell from the picture, but it might be a little bit more difficult to get a ladder because of this lower roof line right here is going to be in the way. So this would probably be a difficulty level 2. We've got a 3 on here. I'm sorry, this is 2. This would be a 3 for that reason. This is a 2 because, it's a second story. It's a little bit harder to get to. Definitely have to use a ladder for it. This one's set back. So am I going to struggle getting a ladder up there because of this little lower roof line? Probably. This is 2 as well, just because we're not sure if we can get in here with these bushes, a ladder. So that's how we determine that stuff. So you need to determine how many windows are we doing? How many feet is what we're doing? So you do need to measure 1. If these are all the same size windows, I'm going to measure what is my window around. Okay, so that's, let's just say that's 3, 6, 9, 12 feet. All the windows are the same. So how many windows, how many feet am I decorating at difficulty level 1? Based on that thing, I'm just doing 1 with 12 feet. Okay, how many at difficulty level? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, how many I'm sorry. Okay, so this is what it is. Difficulty level 1, how many feet? 12 feet. And then how many do I have it? I only have 1 at that level. Okay. And then we measure the next one, it's 12 feet as well, because all the windows are the same. How many do I have at difficulty level 2? So it looks like we have difficulty level 2, we only have 1. Oh, I'm sorry, based on this, we have 2 at difficulty level 2, down here and down here. So 2, 2, difficulty level 2, we only have 1. Difficulty level 2, that's 12, we have 1 here. Then we have 2 here. And then difficulty level 3, that's going to be 12 feet because the windows are all the same size, and we have 2 there as well. Okay, nothing at difficulty level 4. Special conditions, descriptions, decorate the windows, whatever you want to type. snap some photos, you would snap that photo, whatever it is, and then you would outline those as well. Okay, there's my markup. My break even, 161, labor charge, $363. We do need to put lights around it. We're gonna use mini lights on this one. I know it's gonna take some time. Maybe I'm like, oh man, on these windows, there's no way to staple around, that would be easiest way if I could staple it around the window. But in this instance, I'm gonna have to put some, some clips on there, whatever I may be using. So maybe I wanna mark this up a little bit more. I wanna go up to 140% markup, just because I feel like it's going to take a little bit longer. Labor charge, 60 feet of lights, $34 for light charge. And then let's see, total cost, $422 to do those windows. Click save. Okay. I've got my stuff in there. That's all Courtney wanted. We go back, we present to Courtney. Courtney, great news. We've got this. We can do the roof lines, we can do the trees, windows, bushes. 228805. We're very excited to be able to do this. You can't wait to come out and put your lights up. It's going to be exciting. Courtney's like, wow, that's a little bit more in my budget. I really want to be around $2,000. What can we do? We can take a look at it. Well, here's what I could do, Courtney. If you want to take off those, I'm not showing this to Courtney by any means. What we can do, I think I can get you around, that what you're looking for. We would just have to eliminate the trees is what we'd have to do. So I would just do that. Delete, yes. So we're actually way below right there. Actually, I just delete that based on light charge, my fault. There should be a total charge across there. So now we're way below, but if I want to add that back, I find whatever I can delete, get her down. Hey, if we take the windows out, we can actually keep you right around your budget at that same point. So, oh, that'd be great, Matt. Yeah, let's do it. That's exactly how Courtney would sound too. Okay, let me see. If we want to add more sections, we can add those back. We can go back in. We can add the roof line or the trees if we want to add it. Wreaths. We'll do a wreath one.
Matt, before we do the wreaths,
yeah.
We had one question. David was asking, let's see, he said, confirming the software only has one linear footage for each difficulty level. So David, are you asking like whether you can enter multiple sections of like difficulty level 1 roof line?
No windows.
Well,
sorry, do you want to ask your question? I'm a little
go ahead
confused.
And ask the question. David, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me? No?
Yeah,
yep,
we can hear
we got you.
I said no, specifically for Windows. That question was for Windows.
What is the question?
So I'm confirming that the software only has one linear footage for each difficulty level. So if there, if there's different sizes of windows for difficulty level 1, then we need to kind of just get closer or aim high.
Yeah, so what you'd want to do is, let me go back to that section.
Or maybe take an average.
No, you would just calculate, you would basically calculate how many feet you have total, difficulty level 1. So you could do it that way, David. That would probably be the best way to do it. Or I can do a different section if I want to. I can save this and then do another section for difficulty level 1 on feet. Probably what I would do is I would just calculate how many total feet I have. I've got one window downstairs, or I've got 2 windows. One's really large, maybe it's 12 feet. And then the other one's smaller, maybe that's 4 feet. I would combine those and I'd put 16 here. And then I would take away like, oh, you know what, let's not do the smaller window. Then I would just adjust that accordingly. And then I would just put this at 1 is what I would do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good question though. I like it. Okay. We got Courtney. I was going to add another section here, light stakes, very similar. Same thing. How many feet of light stakes am I decorating? I would just put that there. That's all I'm going to do. I'd walk it off with my measuring wheel, and then we're doing 100 feet of light stakes. And then I'm going to scroll down, select my product we're using. You probably want to have a product in here that would be light stakes, because light stakes, the cost is going to be a little different. So I'd have probably, you know, bulk spool, light stakes, product in here as well, because you're gonna have a variance in there. And then I would just select that one accordingly. All right. And then let's see what else. Any other sections here? Tree outside wrap, you got that. Select that. Oh, I was gonna do a wreath. Okay. Difficulty level 1, I have to determine based on my house, what is my difficulty level of my install? Is it easy? Is it going to be lower? Is it a little bit harder because it's set back? So you got to determine, you know, what is my difficulty level on that one, and then enter the number of wreaths I'm doing. You know, maybe it's 2 we're doing one on each side. Difficulty level 1, pretty simple. There's nothing in its way. I can get up there easy. There's no bushes. My ladder can get up there, no problem. Maybe it's, you know, set back a little bit, or it's gonna be harder to get to, then I would put that number 2 under this difficulty level right here, okay? Scroll down, take a photo, you know, highlight where you're decorating, add your description, markup, total break even, labor charge, $132 for those 2 wreaths. And then I select my wreath, 60-inch lit. And that's what we're charging, $248 to install those wreaths. Nice thing is my charge basically this year, you know, we're charging $243. My profit margin is gonna be a lot less this year because I have to purchase that product. Maybe I already have it in stock where I can just throw it up there, and my profit margin the first year will be a lot higher. That's the nice thing about the leasing model is year after year, you're building inventory. You're building products, maybe the Smiths moved or whatever the case is, and you have that wreath available to put up in the Joneses house, and the Joneses are a new client. My profit margin my first year, because that wreath is already paid for from the Smiths, that my profit margin the, you know, first year is going to be a lot higher, which is kind of nice as you start building inventory. The first year you don't have inventory, you got to purchase it. So you're basically breaking even on your inventory, on your products. The next year, right here, this total cost, this wreath charge, this is going to be 100% profit margin for me. The only thing I'm paying for is my labor charge, $132. I'm paying my installers, probably gonna be less than that because the second year is gonna be a lot easier. I don't have to put anchor points. I don't have to do all that stuff. So now my profit margin is gonna be a lot higher the second year in using the lease model. That's why we like the lease model rather than selling it to them. Okay, so this is where we're at. Let's see where we're summary wise. We're closer to her budget. You know, she decided that she didn't want that tree. All right, can we do some wreaths instead? Yeah, sure, we can do that. So we're a little bit closer to her budget. She wanted to be around 2,000. Maybe I go in and, you know, she wants to be at 2,000, so I can mark up something else, you know, a little bit more. I can edit this product. Okay, well, she wants to be around 2,000. Let's get her around 2,000. You know, we can put this up a little bit. You know, maybe we're going up to 145%. Save it. Back to Courtney. Oh, actually, I'm going to go to the summary. Okay, we're at 1932, getting closer. So again, if I want to go back and adjust a certain section, maybe mark it up a little bit more. If she's already seen the breakdown, like she's already seen that I'm charging this much for roof lines, I don't show them any of this stuff. You know, I just say basically this is what we're looking at. And then she's like, well, that's a little bit high. Okay, well, how about we take the bushes away? What's most important to you, Courtney? What would you like? Oh, I really want the roof lines. I really want the bushes, the windows, and wreaths. Great news is we're right there. We are very close to getting to your budget. I can do all that. I can make it beautiful. Your house is going to be the best one on the block. So once she gives the go ahead, that's awesome. Yay, we're so excited. I can do status, pending. So I can just change this to sold. Go down. Yay, we sold it. Courtney's excited. Okay, if I want to send to the customer, if the client wants to see it, I would send right here. I would just click that. Courtney, we get a copy of it. Okay, boom, that's sent off. If I want to send it to the client itemized, boom, we do that. Maybe Courtney will go in her email and show us what it looks like. It's being sent off to Courtney at CLIPA.com. Total cost, $1932.89. Let's see. She's undersold now, which is nice. I don't have anything else in here, any other clients, but it would be broken down. It would show you sold, lost, pending, and then show you all the clients, you know, status there. So, Courtney, did you by any chance get those?
Yeah, I got them. You want me to share it really quick?
Yeah, once you share your screen. So we'll show you what the client would get. And again, it's just something basic. It's not anything crazy. So if you want to send it off to your admin first, have them do it, you can do that.
Okay, so do you guys see here, it comes in as your Christmas lights itemized estimate. And open it up, and this is what it looks like.
It's not the basic. I didn't put any descriptions in there. That's where the description would be. I put CHS. I didn't put a logo in there. There would be a logo at the top. My logo would be up there. I didn't have that in there. Otherwise, it would be up on the top right there. And then again, no descriptions per section. If I did, that would be in there. So this is the itemized one. This is broken down per section. Courtney really wanted to see it, like, oh, I'd like to see, it broken down. That's fine. We can do that. Yeah. You want to pull out the other one? No labor tax, no material tax. We're not charging that. Remember, I put 0 in both of those. But if you're charging labor, that's going to be calculated at the bottom for you.
So you have to check the regulations in your state, but typically labor is not taxed. And then because of the fact that we are leasing this product to the customer, we wouldn't be charging them tax.
Yeah. Okay. So here's your basic one with just residential Christmas light installation, total price and all that stuff. And then you scroll down a little bit. She's got her terms and conditions. This is, there is no terms and conditions because we didn't put anything into what's that?
Because we didn't enter any.
That's right. We didn't. So if I would enter my terms and conditions, that would have showed up right there. And we didn't do that. So again, if you want to make it look a little bit nicer, I would definitely recommend putting it through a CRM. This is just something basic. All the photos, you see all the photos down below, they show up as well. So Courtney and I are on the same page with my drawings. Okay.
We do have a couple questions.
All right.
Jason was asking if we use the estimating calculator for our projects here.
That would be a Chelsea question, but yes, I believe Chelsea uses it for the roof lines and the trees to figure out.
Yeah, we do use it. We don't use it for everything, but a lot of times if it's a commercial building, the roof line is pretty straightforward, right? So we just have the linear footage of the roof line. We don't need to use the app for that. But definitely for bushes and trees, we do use it. It's great. It has the calculations for trees. So we can't look at a tree and know exactly how many strands we're going to use. Yep. So when we do need to calculate that, we'll pop it into the app. And then of course, we would enter, the numbers differently and present it differently as previously discussed.
Courtney, I had a question. How many tabs does Google allow you to open at one time?
Well, I think I have maybe like 85 tabs because I have all these ones. And then I also have like all these windows down here. So.
All right. Alice, what are we looking at? We got other questions?
Yeah. Ollie's wondering if we do a 50% down payment, and then I'm assuming how we would do that, how we would process that deposit.
I'd recommend doing it through is my screen still sharing? I don't know if you guys can see it.
No, you have to reshare yours since I have mine up.
Oh, okay.
But yes, we do. So if you're doing residential, you do want to take a 50% deposit to secure their install date.
Yeah, but I think they're asking how they would do that. So through the app, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to send this to your office, and that's where you would send it through your CRM, because there's no payment links on these estimates going out to the client. So you would have to send it to your office, have them put it into your CRM with the numbers. Once the client agrees upon it, you would have them, send it out there, and then that's where they would send it to collect the 50%. So you should be collecting 50% right on, even to get on the schedule. We need to get 50% down, and then we get the remaining 50% at time of install. So I would recommend the way I would do this. I would use this for my calculations, send it off to my admin, whoever it may be, have them put it in the CRM. Yep, the Joneses are ready to go. Courtney's ready to rock and roll. And then they would put it into whatever my CRM is, send it to the client with that opportunity for 50% down, payment link right there, boom, collect it, boom. Once that happens, they get onto the schedule. And then once we send, a couple of days before, we would send them another one with the remaining balance that's due. Hey, Courtney Robinson, we're coming out on, on November, 15th. We'll be there for the install. here's the invoice, if you don't mind going on and paying it, or we can do it at the time after we're completed it. You can do that as well. And then I would also include a tip line on there for your employees. You know, give them an opportunity to generate a little bit extra income. That's a good way to retain employees. Is, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're making 18, 20 bucks an hour, but at the end, you know, we will split all the the tips. We do pool the tips. That's something you want to look at doing. Is you pool the tips and then you divvy it up. Maybe give some to your admins, but everything else is divvied up through installers. Even if you have multiple crews, you want to do it that way, just because, you know, what if you send a crew out to a commercial project where there is no tips? You know, the client's not going to tip you on commercial projects. They're working on commercial for a day or two. They're missing out on all those opportunities to get tips. So it's not fair for them to be on that commercial project when the others are on residential making tips. So make sure you pool all that. 100% of the tips should go to your employees. That shouldn't be something you're pocketing. But again, if you want to split it up and give a little percentage to the admins internally that are working on this stuff, that's great. But then everything else should be split amongst the employees. This is at the end of the season thing that you're doing. More incentive for them to stick around. Oh yeah, I want to get that bonus at the end of the season, that tip bonus. You can fire people the last day too if you want, just to avoid having to pay people tips. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. All right, how are we looking?
We're looking good on questions.
That's pretty much it. You know, as far as the sections and stuff like that. You know, I could go through all the different sections, but they're all very similar. If you have any questions on how to bid those sections, definitely, you know, let us know and I can guide you through it. I can help you out. But you do have the tools right now to actually get in there and start measuring and start messing around with it. You know, if you need to reference back this training, we'll have this available for you. If you need, personal one-on-one training, I don't mind doing that as well. Questions? No?
Not
We good?
seeing anything else. It looks like we got everything answered.
Everybody fell asleep?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, well, if that's it, I want to thank everybody. I'm not leaving. I do want to thank everybody for joining us, and hopefully this is something that you can utilize to help you make sure that you're making money this season. And I'll tell you, this is one of the biggest downfalls of somebody that gets into this industry, this booming industry, is they go in and they just don't price things properly. They're charging way too less, for projects, and they get to the end of the season and they have to pay their employees to take everything down, and they don't have any money in the bank account. So that's the biggest issue for companies not surviving year after year is their pricing. So this is going to help you guys ensure that you're pricing these things properly and being profitable throughout year to year. Do keep in mind your first year profit margins will be a lot lower, as we discussed. I mentioned that earlier, because you do have to buy the product. I spend $500 on Courtney's product. Guess what? I don't have to buy that product next year. I'm going to use it year after year until we got to replace it in 4 to 5 years, whatever it may be. So I'm charging Courtney $1932.89 this first year. I'm at a 45% profit margin. I can break it down. I'm not sure what it is offhand right now, but I can break it down. And then next year, I'm charging Courtney $1932.89. We do some increases. We actually, as a company, we do a 5% increase on all of our clients year after year. And we kind of started doing that probably about 3 years ago, when there was some stuff that we couldn't control, container costs coming in. The container cost, we used to pay $2,500 per container for it's come across the seas. And 2 or 3 years ago, I don't remember when it was, it skyrocketed to $26,000. We couldn't control that. We couldn't control the fact that I used to pay $20, $22 an hour for employees, and then it was so hard to find employees. I had to start paying 25 to 28 per hour just to get people through the door type thing. So there's a lot of costs that are out of our control, and clients are usually fine with it. So we do a 5% increase year after year. That's up to you whether you want to do that or not. With your residential customers. But that if you price this out properly, 1932, this project right here is going to take us a few hours. Do the math on it. Let's say my payroll is $400 for this. then I'm a pretty healthy profit margin. I'm at $1,400 on this project just for Courtney's house. So.
Okay, so let's, before we log off, Jason wanted to see one of our Canva presentations. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into that real quick.
Well, that concludes the app training. So if you guys have any questions, definitely reach out to us. Happy estimating. And if you want to stick around, you can check out the Canva presentation that we use for our commercial projects. Bonus material. Am I doing that or is somebody else doing that?
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Take it away.
So here is an example of one that that we did for the City of Industry. So this is all in Canva. This was last year's presentation. And we'll go through this quickly. I know we've been on here for quite a while, but essentially we do like some inspiration photos. We show the team. And then we basically just create a mock-up. Doesn't have to be anything super advanced. This one you can see we just kind of clip some images from another, from a tree with lights installed to kind of show it on here, but it gets the point across. So we're basically just showing, you know, photos of the property and then listing what we would be doing, what the work would be. And then also we're stating the location. You see that down there at the bottom. Some ideas for photo ops. So we're itemizing what they are. And then this is where we kind of start to itemize each thing. So we're going to give them a couple options. This one is option A. So again, we show the location where it's going to be, itemize what we're putting there. So this is that first slide that we looked at where we had the warm white snowflakes and then 8 trees lit with the mini lights. So like for this section, we would probably pop into the estimating app and figure out for our pricing, we would figure out how many strands we're going to need for each of those trees. So we can price those out. Same thing on this section here. We would use the estimating app with those tree measurements to figure out what we need here. We can also use it for the lamppost. We proposed a tower tree to them. So this was that tree in the video. And then we have multiple photo ops and large decor items listed here. So then we just put an overall number. So we're in this case, we're giving them 2 options for pricing. One of them would be an annual lease price, and then the other would be a multi-year lease. So this is if we're locking them into a contract. If they only want to lease it, if they only want to commit for 1 year, they're going to pay a little bit more. And then same thing. So then we have option B. We list, you know, the items that we're including in that proposal. And then we have another pricing option here, either an annual lease or a multi-year lease. Whoops, that should say option C. So this one is showing 2 options where we have an annual lease or a multi-year. In some cases, we might be selling them the product. It all depends on their terms and what they've asked for. But in the case where we're selling, we would also present that price here.
Hey, Courtney, this is Will. I have a question.
Sure.
The difference between the annual lease and a multi-year lease. So if you're locking them in at a multi-year lease, are you locking them in at that rate, or will you factor in a 5% increase in that locked rate? Or any type of year-over-year lease? I mean, year-over-year increase?
Yeah, so that's a case-by-case basis. But like in the case of a lot of ours, if it's a multi-year lease, it's going to be years. So it really depends on the terms that are negotiated.
Courtney,
Thank you.
Yeah.
where would you guys include your terms and conditions in this package?
Well, in this case, this is just part of the presentation that
Okay.
we would give to them. So we would also, you know, when we got to that point, we would have a formal document. Whoops, it's a video. We would have a formal document that would state all of that information. Yeah. That would be like under the contract.
So just a teachable moment with seeing this. Yesterday, we submitted to the UCB, and I'm realizing now that I didn't submit terms and conditions. I just
Mhm.
submitted price. Is that something I should
Yeah.
follow up with them on?
No, I would wait for them to come back.
Okay,
Because in that case, you're just in the early stages, right? So this would be like the first stage, is that we need to put together a proposal and present them with something and show them what we're planning to do and show them how much it's gonna cost. And then they're gonna come back and say, we like this option, or we don't, or we have this much to spend. We can make adjustments as needed. And then when it comes time to close the deal, we're gonna make sure that we're going over all of our terms and conditions and providing them with a contract that's signed.
okay. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful presentation.
Yeah, your terms and conditions are going to be, obviously different with this. Things you have to think about with this one is, and I'm sure we have an example for you, is the products. We're not responsible for theft, damage. Actually, that residential, I'd have that as well. So I would use something similar to what we have on the back end of CLIPA U, because a lot of these, things, there are polar bears that we put out there are $5,000 polar bears. So the client is responsible for that stuff when we've had product stolen. So you want to make sure that you're really covering yourself that the client is responsible for all that, damage, theft, whatever it may be. That stuff you want to include in there.
Yeah,
And
that's a
then
And we
great
do
point. I
have
didn't
examples.
Go ahead. Say it again, Jason.
Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, I was saying that's a great point, because that's one thing. I just kind of drafted up some term and conditions, and I'm not a lawyer. I kind of borrowed it from somebody that shared his old stuff, but I didn't realize it was at the back of CLIPA U. As much as I'd like to dig off in there every day, there's a lot of content, fortunately, you guys have.
Yeah, but definitely go into CLIPA U, log in there and then look at the resources. And there are a couple examples of contracts. Contract
Okay,
verbiage.
perfect. And that would be, there's an example of residential and commercial, because that's going to be different, right? Just different verbiage, or no?
It's going to be fairly similar. We're not responsible for theft, and all that fun stuff. There are certain things, commercial, you're not going to get away with. You're not going to get a 50% deposit. Hopefully you can get a 50% deposit down the road, but they may have something where they can't pay the 50% at time of install. That's just working with different cities, hotels. They may have a different, it doesn't always work out that way. Residential, 100%, you want to make sure that you're getting 50% down, 50% at time of install. Commercial, you kind of at the mercy of them, but are you going to turn away a big job, big project, because they want to pay you on December 1st or, wherever, they can pay you type thing. So it is a little bit different with that thing, but there's certain things like, we have one project where they're writing a check for us, $90,000 check on July 1st. Because we have to buy, go buy a tree. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to shell it, 50,000, 60, whatever it is for the tree. So we do require that we have to get that deposit, and they had no problem. As long as you're educating and, with them, and you're just being honest with them and communicating with them, typically they'll, make sure they get that deposit to you.
Yeah, that makes that challenging. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but really, if you can cover, as long as you can cover the product cost, if it's something, a big element, like this tree we're buying, this is a, $90,000 tree. They're understandable. They understand that stuff. So you really have to, work with them and try to find out, you try to get as much down as possible if you can, but at least cover, just like residential, you're taking 50% deposit, that 50% is going to cover your product cost, no problem. So you're not really coming out of pocket with anything. You're using the client's money to go buy that product. So you just got a case by case basis, and we can help you through that process if you need help.
Yeah, but again, with commercial, it's very much a case by case basis, because different properties have different rules and different ways that they do things. So it's definitely not a one size fits all when it comes to commercial. So
Yep.
Okay. That's it for me. I appreciate you guys' time.
Yeah, anybody else? Any other questions?
I don't see anything else in the chat. So I think with that, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, well, thank you
Oh, for
everybody
sure, Matt.
thank you everybody for coming around and sticking around too. I like that. Everybody stuck around. That was awesome. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate your time. If you guys need help with anything, products, whatever it may be, the CLIPA girls are here for you. They can help you out. They can help you price out stuff. As far as when it comes to commercial, we can help you whatever level you need. commercial wise, we're here for you. We can guide you through that process and, help you land those jobs. So we're excited to, hear how well you guys do this season. Looking forward to it. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can email me, matt@clipa.com, or you can, my phone number, 949-504-8302. You can call me direct and I will do what I can to help you out. Thank you very much. Have a great
All
day.
right, thanks, everybody.
All right.